Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Throne of Steel episode number 204 based on novel. So let's start. Everything is ready now, Chairman Yan Haochen, the master of the Night Temple, said to Long Haochen, who was standing on the top of Yulongguan. Long Haochen nodded and said, "Good." Long Qianyin, who walked to the top of the city tower with Yan Haochen, said with a confused look, "There is no movement from the god of devils. Hasn't he got the news yet?" "The news has already come to our side." Long Haochen smiled. "This is not surprising, we owe the credit of Yu Yi's organization. Grandpa, the accurate battle report of Wan Shoguan has been sent back." Long Qianyin's face suddenly showed a strong feeling of excitement. "It's already been passed back. Marbus and Wallifer's tactics against Wan Shoguan are almost exactly the same as those of Sami Jina. First, they use other races as cannon fodder to attack the city, and then use the Hell Devils clan which belongs to them and cooperate with the general attack of the Bear Devils clan. The 500,000 soldiers on their side are weaker than Sami Jina because there are Bear Devils and Hell Devils, plus the commanders were the two devil gods. They were unlucky to meet that old fox, Chen Hongyu. That old fox, Chen Hongyu, is too good at pretending. When Marbus and Wallifer first launched an offensive, he completely resisted it with the original strength of the Temple of Souls. There are many strong people in the Temple of Souls, coupled with meticulous preparation with accurate intelligence, they were not at a disadvantage at all. They have persisted in blocking 3 waves of attacks without showing signs of defeat. Marbus and Wallifer then began to send devil gods to fight. They are more ruthless than Sami Jina, sending as many as 6 devil gods at a time. At this time, the pressure on Wan Shoguan immediately increased. It immediately fell into an uphill battle. Chen Hongyu began to send troops from the other 5 temples to support Wan Shoguan to the battlefield, each time in proper number, and each arm played the greatest role, coupled with the fact that the strength of the Temple of Souls was much greater than those of the warriors, so he persisted for a day and a night. Marbus and Wallifer are in a bit of a hurry, and they both know that Sami Jina is attacking crazily, and his battle seemed to be coming to an end. So, they finally commanded the strongest mixture of Bear Devils and Hell Devils and went straight to the fortress. At this point, Long Qianyin could not help exclaiming, "Haochen, that girl named Yu Yi you mentioned is really amazing. I don't know how their organization did it." Marbus and Wallifer simply did not get the news that Sami Jina had been killed in the war, thinking that Sami Jina had been in a stalemate and was about to break through. How can they not be in a hurry? Everyone thinks that our federation is a piece of cake and wants to take the first bite. This impatience naturally led to the problem of rash advance. And the successful blocking at Wan Shoguan before also brought enough time to themselves. Kia and the 12 Eternal Heroes finally arrived at Wan Shoguan to join the strong ones in the Temple of Souls. And the Eternal Heroes who were supposed to support the Temple of Souls have been holding back. At the same time, on the other side of the priest temple in Namguan, when it was determined that the devils had not divided their troops to attack. Although it was too late to send troops, they asked the 9 Eternal Heroes on their side to go to Wan Shoguan to help. There were 30 Eternal Heroes in total. That's 30 people who were strong in their domain. As soon as they appeared on the battlefield, they instantly had the effect of turning the tide. The old fox Chen Haoyu was indeed very patient. In previous accidents, he simply did not let any Eternal Hero take their shot, and it was not until the most critical moment that he broke out and caught Marbus and Wallifer by surprise. As a result, the two sides launched a full-scale war. What's even more insidious of him is that Chen Hongyu pulled out a horrifying magic scroll out of nowhere. This scroll was left by the ancestors of the Temple of Souls, and it opened a terrifying summoning magic called the Gate of Hell. From that Gate of Hell, a total of 3,000 8th-level Hellhounds were drilled, and they continued to fight for an hour before they disappeared. 3,000 8th-level Hellhounds? Long Haochen drew a deep breath, and Yan Haochen also looked appalled. Even the God of Devils only brought a little more than 1,000 8th-level strong devils to Yulongguan. 3,000 8th-level Hellhounds. What was that? Its destructive power was probably not much worse than the 30 light forbidden spells of the magic trap, and they were even more flexible. Long Qianyin said with a surprised look, "That's right. That old guy Chen Hongyu is so cunning that if he gives us the scroll, I'm afraid the God of Devils will suffer as well." Yan Haochen smiled and said, "I can't blame him. After all, the Union has just been established, and protecting his temple is the most important thing for him. I'm afraid if it was us, we also wouldn't hand it over." With these 3,000 hellhounds, I'm afraid Marbus and Warlifer are in big trouble. Long Chinyin nodded and said, the destructive power of those 3,000 8th-level hellhounds was so terrifying that even the defensive power of Bear Devils cannot stop them. Bear Devils and Hell Devils allied forces were directly attacked badly, and then there was a full-scale war between the two sides. In order to keep their main force, the Hell Devil god Marbus and the Bear Devil god Warlifer mobilized all their armies to attack the city, and all the devil gods who followed them also attacked. In this battle, it took a day and a night to tell the difference between the winner and the loser. At this point, his eyes dimmed a little. 9 of the 30 eternal heroes were killed in this war, and one of the wizards used the power of self-destruction to severely injure the Hell Devil god Marbus. Although the Bear Devil god Warlifer retreated unscathed, their army suffered heavy losses. The Devil's clan lost 5 devil gods in this war. Haochen remains standing, and the army of devils has been reduced by at least nearly 400,000. When they were retreating, almost all of the rest were weak ones, and at least more than half of these 400,000 were killed thanks to the super forbidden spell, the Gate of Hell. The destructive power of 3,000 hellhounds is really terrifying. Although not being there himself, by listening to the story of Long Chinyin, Long Haochen could feel the cruelty of this war. Whether it was the southeast fortress or Haochen, these two important battles could be described as a meat grinder. In just a few days, both sides lost more than 500,000 lives. However, although Marbus and Warlifer had retreated, they were still alive. But the loss on their side was not inferior to that of Sami Jina. 5 devil gods had fallen, and even if they were still alive, they would no longer be able to fight. More importantly, more than 80% of the army of 500,000 elite devils were lost, which was even greater than the loss of Sami Jina. There was no more power left to destroy the city. The 2 major battles unexpectedly ended in just 3 days. The calculation of the god of devils in the world was indeed very accurate. Unfortunately, he only guessed the time right, not the result. Long Haochen clenched his fist and said, "It's up to us now. If we can defeat the elite army of the god of devils, then the situation between us and the devil's clan will be reversed." His words were absolutely right. The million elite devils had been defeated, together with 7 devil gods' casualties. It could be said that they almost destroyed the foundation of the Devil's Clan. In particular, the Undead Devil's Clan, Hell Devil's Clan and Bear Devil's Clan were hit hard. The blow to the Devil's Clan was hard to predict. If they could do any more damage to the anti-heavenly dragons, Moon Devils, and Star Devils, then it could be said that the dawn of light would finally come. Yan Haohan said quietly, "Haochen, there is one thing I must remind you. Until we completely defeat the God of Devils, we cannot say victory is coming. Among the devils, as long as the god of devils is not defeated, then we still cannot completely break through the shackles of this dark age. Are you still confident about this war?" Long Haochen shook his head, but his face gradually showed a special brilliance. Long time ago, the son of reincarnation gave a heavy blow to the god of devils of that generation at the cost of his life. It eventually led to the early death of that generation's god of devils. I am not any weaker than the son of reincarnation, and I have more advantages that the son of reincarnation does not have. I am not sure if I can defeat the god of devils, and my practice level is far away from him, my opponent. However, if he really comes to that point and he wants me to die, I will certainly take him and his devil pillars to be buried together at all costs. As long as his devil pillar is broken, the devil's clan will perish. He said this firmly, and even the 2 seniors, Long Chinyin and Yan Haohan, were shocked by the determination in his eyes. Haochen, Long Chinyin only felt something stuck in his throat, and he could not speak. From a general point of view, of course, he should fully support Long Haochen, but Long Haochen was his only grandson. He was also the only heir of the Long family. Long Xingyu and Bai Yu had no one else except him. If Long Haochen were to die in battle, the Long family would probably lose its roots. However, now Long Haochen, as the chairman of the Temple Federation, the leader of the Night Temple and the Sealed Divine Knight, the Splendid God, was duty-bound to defeat the God of Devils. No one could replace him, and the most critical battle could only rely on his strength. Yan Haohan's eyes twinkled. "Well, Chairman, with your words, I'm willing to die for this war. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die before you do. I don't believe that we can't defeat the God of Devils when we gather together in the Night Temple." Long Chenyin also recovered from his sadness. "Yes, Yan is right. At that time, we will fight together. If we are doomed to die, then let our Long family be completely rooted out and die together on the battlefield." Long Haochen took a deep breath and said, Grandpa Yan, let's go. I believe that the news from Yi cannot be hidden for too long. If the God of Devils does come, it must be a decisive battle, and it is also a battle that determines whether we can break through the dark barrier or not. Yulongguan was built in the mountains. 3 days ago, when the commander-in-chief of the God of Devils came here, there was an aura of killing outside Yulongguan. At this time, the aura of killing had become more and more intense. The war horn sounded in Yulongguan, and many figures began to come out from the inside of the mountain and stood on top of Yulongguan. There was no ordinary warrior or wizard that could appear on top of Yulongguan. They should be at least the 7th level strong men. Li Jingxi, the master of the magic temple, brought his strongest wind wizard, as well as all 9 eternal heroes guarding the magic temple. At the moment of the war between the Southeast Fortress and Wan Shoguan, he set out with the wizard regiment and the eternal heroes. In addition to Li Jingxi, the highest level of the assassin temple nearest to the night temple also came. Commanded by Xingyu himself, along with 36 hidden assassins, 11 chivalrous men and 6 eternal heroes also came to Yulongguan. And the most powerful, of course, was the power of the night temple itself. Led by Long Haochen, the 6 sealed divine knights lined up and stood in the middle of Yulongguan. The owner of the sealed divine throne of eternity and creation, the splendor of the night temple and the leader of the sealed divine knights, Long Haochen. The owner of the sealed divine throne of fear and sadness, the sealed divine knight of destruction and forgiveness of the night temple, and you. The owner of the sealed divine throne of doom and slaughter, the sealed divine knight of judgment of the night temple, Long Xingyu. The owner of the sealed divine throne of guarding and mercy, and sealed divine knight of defense and coordination of the night temple, Yang Haohan. The owner of the sealed divine throne of wisdom and spirit, and the sealed divine knight of enlightenment and inheritance of the night temple, Zhong Fangfang. The owner of the sealed divine throne of law and order, and the sealed divine knight of control and restraint of the night temple, Long Qianyin. The 6 sealed divine knights were all dressed up in gowns at this time, but everyone knew that as long as the war begins, their sealed divine thrones would appear on the battlefield immediately. Behind the 6 sealed divine knights, there were 36 fine gold pedestal knights and 108 secret silver pedestal knights commanded by the Holy Knight of Starry Sky Yan Haoyu. They were the core and most powerful force of the Night Temple. After Long Haochen became the sealed divine knight of glory and leader, and the chairman of the Temple Federation, Yan Haoyu took over the position of the paladin. It could be said that this was the strongest lineup in the 6,000 years since the birth of the Night Temple. The strong men of the 3 temples gathered together, as well as the Soldiers' Temple, the Priest Temple, and the Temple of Souls, which added up to about 100 strong men of more than level 7. Compared with the total number of devils, although they were still in a weak position, they were also close to 1,000 or so. At least in terms of the number of strong people in the domain, the human side was not any weaker, but in terms of overall strength, the human side was still inferior to the Devil's Clan. The God of Devils had brought almost all the 3 strongest races of the Devil's Clan, with 200 people of level 9 and more than 1,000 of level 8. The anti-heavenly dragons, the Moon Devil and the Star Devil. This would be an unprecedented decisive battle for mankind against the devils. Whoever won would be able to dominate the future situation on the land. Long Haochen stood in the most central position with a solemn face. The people of the Light Dawn Demon Hunter group stood beside the 6 sealed divine knights. Wang Yuanyuan and Chen Yinga were both masters of the 6 temples and vice-chairman of the Federation, and the others were also federal congressmen. They had enough status to stand here. Long Haochen looked at the Devil's camp in the distance, and the Devil's Clan side was still quiet. In this war, it was meaningless for professionals below the 7th level to join. It could only be a death sentence for them. Therefore, after the arrival of the God of Devils, after the consultation of the federal parliament, the strategy of elite to elite was decided. They were trying to avoid unnecessary casualties as much as possible. If they all died on this battlefield, it was not too late to carry out the huge crowd strategy. Lin Xin, how are Kia and the others doing? Long Haochen asked Lin Xin, who was not far away. In front of so many people, Lin Xin said respectfully, Chairman, Vice-Chairman Kia and the others are regaining their strength. Please rest assured that with the help of my medicine, Vice-Chairman Kia will soon recover to her peak. It was Kia who brought back the news about Wan Shoguan, but as soon as she came back, she immediately took the medicine provided by Lin Xin to heal herself. Kia was seriously injured and badly overdrawn. She played a vital role in the 2 wars of the Southeast Fortress and Wan Shoguan. Especially, she killed Sami Jina with her own hands. Not only did Kia return, but she also brought back all the eternal heroes of the Southeast Fortress and Wan Shuguan inside her Tower of Eternity, and 12 eternal heroes returned in addition to the 9 who were killed in battle. In addition, over the past 2 days, Kia, who resurrected the 12 sacred saints by purifying the aura of death on the battlefield, has added more than 29th level strong people to Guan. It could be said that in order to fight against the god of devils, except for the necessary manpower to guard several fortresses, all the main forces of the Temple Federation had been concentrated here. This was also the situation that Long Haochen most wanted to see, and whether to defeat the god of devils was the key to the final decision. Everything is ready, Chairman. Yang Haoyu, the Holy Knight of Starry Sky, came to Long Haochen and whispered. Long Haochen nodded. He flashed and flew into the air 10 meters away from the head of the city, turned around and faced all the strong men on Guan. Elders and predecessors of the 6 temples, the eternal heroes, our ancestors. The moment to determine whether we can break through the darkness or not is coming. For our future generations to reproduce better, so that mankind can once again become the ruler of the Holy Land. In this war, perhaps many of us will not be able to see the sun of tomorrow. However, I, Long Haochen, the first chairman of the Temple Federation, have no regrets about my death, and I am even more proud to be able to fight the Devil's Clan together with all of you. Almost every one of us has a deep grudge against the Devil's Clan. Not long ago, the God of Devils killed more than a dozen legendary heroes of our 2 titled hunter groups. This time, the God of Devils wants to completely defeat us, so that we human beings are further enslaved by them. But he will never succeed. Maybe some seniors don't know yet. On the other side of the battlefield, the Devils dispatched a total of millions of troops, led by Samijina, the undead devil god, and Marbas, the hell devil god, and attacked the Southeast Fortress and Wan Shuguan at the same time. In total, the 2 armies mobilized as many as 34 devil gods. Launched an unprecedented full-scale holy war. However, I would like to tell you some good news. In this holy war, because of our full preparation and proper tactics, both the Southeast Fortress and Wan Shuguan have won a decisive victory. As soon as Long Haochen said this, the officers and soldiers on the head of the Guan were briefly dull at first, then cheered loudly. Before today, most of them did not know about the situation in the Southeast Fortress and Wan Shuguan. Long Haochen blocked the news immediately. If the Southeast Fortress and Wan Shuguan went to war, and they were defeated, he must not let the news get out and affect others' morale. But it was different now. What could be more morale-boosting than the news of a big victory? It's a little unbelievable, isn't it? Here, I would like to pay the highest tribute to our ancestors, the eternal heroes. It was because of their help that we were able to win these 2 decisive victories. In the Southeast Fortress, the Devil's Clan was completely wiped out by the magic trap laid by the eternal heroes. Vice President Kia personally killed Samijina, the undead devil god, outside the Southeast Fortress. The arcane devil god Garbo was shot down by the bow of Elder Yi Sanmi, our eternal hero. At the end of the war, out of the army of 500,000 devils, only 200,000 of them escaped, which can no longer threaten the safety of our Southeast Fortress. And for Wan Shuguan, under the commander-in-chief of Lord Chen, more than 20 eternal heroes joined the battle. Lord Chen used the super forbidden spell and opened the gate of hell. He summoned 3,000 8th level hellhounds, and broke the strongest combination of hell devils and bear devils. In the battle that lasted 2 days and 2 nights, 9 eternal heroes died in the battle, but they also destroyed 5 devil gods. Marbas and Wallifer were seriously injured and retreated. When they retreated, there were only 100,000 from 500,000 troops left. This is an unprecedented victory. It also heralds the end of the Dark Age. Now, right across from us, the God of Devils, the Moon Devil God, and the Star Devil God command more than 1,000 elite devils here. Our comrades in arms have won 2 important victories. Can we lag behind in the coming decisive battle? No, absolutely not. Even at all costs, we must light up the light in the dark and let the dawn of light return to the land. Long Haochen's voice was loud and powerful, and more importantly, he ignited the morale of all the strong men on the city with the victory of the 2 great fortresses. It had also been proved by facts that the devils were not invincible. Just as Long Haochen was talking, the sky suddenly darkened in the distance. The dark golden light of terror rose into the sky, covering all the tents of the devils 50 miles away. The low sound of the dragon, like thunder, sounded in the distant sky, and a huge black dragon with a length of 1 kilometer appeared silently in mid-air. 1 kilometer. That was 1 kilometer long. Even if it was 50 miles apart, it still looked so scary. And this huge black dragon was circling around the huge pillar of dark golden light rising from the sky, which was 10 miles in diameter, as if it really was the pillar of the sky. Even if the kilometer-long black dragon circled around it, it would take more than 10 seconds. Yes, this was the invincible existence of the Holy Demon Land, the master of the Devil's Clan, the horrifying emperor of the anti-heavenly dragons, Feng Xiu. The morale that Long Haochen had just inspired was completely suppressed almost instantly, and the god of devils released a more terrifying pressure than when he first arrived here 3 days ago. And this pressure was enough to suffocate anyone. A purple and an orange-yellow, 2 rays of light suddenly rose from both sides of the dark and golden pillar of light, and they soon rushed into the sky and turned into a purple moon and an orange star. It shone on the dark golden pillar, making it more powerful. Long Haochen, have you thought this through? The insipid voice of Feng Xiu came from afar, and the terrifying pressure also skyrocketed in an instant. Almost all the strong men at the head of Yulongguan had to immediately urge their spiritual powers to barely resist the suppression of this pressure. Long Haochen snorted before he turned around, the 6 golden wings behind him spread out, and in a flash, he was already high up in the air. At the same time, 5 figures flew out from Yulongguan, and they surrounded Long Haochen in the center, and the 6 figures bloomed with different brilliance in mid-air. 6 huge sealed divine thrones appeared at almost the same time, and the central sealed divine throne of eternity and creation sparkled with 9 colors. When the glittering white pillar of light rose into the sky, it instantly lit up the mountain where Yulongguan was located and expelled all the dark gold from the spread of the anti-heavenly dragon's pillar in the sky. The other 5 sealed divine thrones also emitted their own light, with the urging of Han Yu, Zhong Fangfang, Long Xingyu, Long Qianyin, and Yan Haohan, guarding the sealed divine throne of eternity and creation in the center. Yes, the god of devils was strong, and he was guarded by the moon devil god and the star devil god, but there were also 6 sealed divine knights on the human side. When all the 6 sealed divine thrones bloomed with magnificent brilliance, all the strong men in the city of Yulongguan felt the pressure lighter. Li Jingxi, the master of the magic temple, looked at the scene in the air with complicated feelings. He knew that in his life, it would be impossible to compete with the Night Temple. Even if in today's battle all the 6 sealed divine knights were all killed, and the prestige of the Night Temple would still be far ahead of the other 5 temples. Well, what a complete set of 6 magical thrones and knights. It seems that you have given me the answer. Feng Xiu's voice was still calm. A dark and golden light flashed instantly, and the god of devils Feng Xiu unexpectedly came to a kilometer close to the 6 sealed divine knights in front of Long Haochen. Looking at the handsome face of the god of devils, Long Haochen only felt that his blood inside his body was rushing vigorously, and that the time for a decisive battle was finally coming. I finally have to face the Devil Emperor. In no case can we lose this battle. Don't you know that if you don't surrender, there's only death? Feng Xiu said faintly as if in his eyes, Long Haochen was the only one opponent, while the other 5 sealed divine knights around Long Haochen and more than 1,000 strong men in the city did not exist at all. How overbearing and confident this was. Long Haochen said in a cold voice, I am a human, you are a devil, between us, there is no other possibility. Today, either you die, or I die. Feng Xiu shook his head gently and said, you are still young and naive. Do you think you can compete with me with such arrangements? Why can our family rule the mainland for 6,000 years? It's solely by the virtue of absolute strength. Long Haochen suddenly smiled. Oh? Is that true? Absolute strength? In the past 3 days, what you have been waiting for should be the answer from the southeast fortress and Wan Shoguan. I don't know, have you got the answer? Feng Xiu's eyes changed slightly, and the reason why he appeared at this time was that he felt some odd aura above Yulongguan. That was why he suddenly showed up in the air ahead of time. Although the news from the other side had not arrived yet, he still had absolute confidence in Sami Jina and Marbus. It seems that you already know about the southeast fortress and Wan Shoguan. How do you feel? Feng Xiu's slender eyebrows picked up slightly. Long Haochen nodded seriously and said, of course I know. Oh? It seems that your majesty doesn't know. The god of devils felt a jolt in his heart and had a premonition of something. He subconsciously glanced back at the orange star next to the anti-heavenly dragon's pillar. Vashak, the star devil god, did not give him any prophecy. What's the result? Feng Xiu asked quietly. Long Haochen smiled and said, of course, good has triumphed over evil. I'm afraid there are only 1/3 of your million troops left. The god of devils was stunned for a moment, but soon regained his composure. Do you think you can use false threats against me? Long Haochen said, "It seems that your majesty's source is not as fast as mine. It seems that you can only feel the broken pillar of the devil god, but you can't feel the fall of the devil god. Why don't you go back and inquire first? We are in no hurry." At this time, he spoke about the war on the other side, and spread his voice afar, in order to make a blow to the morale of the devil's clan and the confidence of the god of devils at the same time. The most terrifying opponent was the calmest opponent. Once the god of devils lost his coolness and his mood swung violently, Long Haochen's chances would be greater. Feng Xiu frowned. Although he did not believe that Long Haochen's words were true, Long Haochen said it in front of all the strong human beings. If it was only a lie, would he still have the reputation of the president of the Temple Federation? What was more, what was the use of lies? The foreboding suddenly became stronger and stronger. With a cold hum, the dark golden figure of Feng Xiu suddenly turned into nothingness. Long Haochen looked at the anti-heavenly dragon's pillar in the distance and thought to himself that the building that collapsed was always destroyed from the inside. Without the news from Yu Yi's organization, they would never have faced the god of devils so calmly, and the god of devils would not have received accurate information so late. "Agares, Vashak, I don't care what you do, in half an hour I want to know what happened on both sides of Samijina and Marbus. If you can't give me an answer in half an hour, then, Vashak, you are ready to prophesy with your life for the second time." The god of devils was obviously angry. The starlight and the moonlight in the sky both faded away at the same time, but the light of the anti-heavenly dragon's pillar showed no sign of disappearing. At the same time, columns of light soared around it, which was the power of other devil gods. But compared with the anti-heavenly dragon's pillar in the center, they were like bamboo around an elephant. The 6 sealed divine knights were still suspended in midair, relying on the aura of the sealed divine thrones to resist the power of the anti-heavenly dragon's pillar in the sky. The atmosphere became more and more tense, but at this time, Long Haochen's heart was very quiet. He silently felt the aura of sealed divine throne of eternity and creation, and the various emotions in his heart disappeared one after another, and he gradually entered a kind of ethereal realm. The more pressure he faced, the stronger his ability would become. The powerful talent of the god of light's constitution also broke out further under the great pressure of the anti-heavenly dragon's pillar in the sky. Even Long Haochen himself did not know how far his practice could be with the help of Yi Xiaolei's wisdom furnace. If he were to be added to the sealed divine throne of eternity and creation, perhaps it should be close to the top level of the 9th tier. However, the gap between the god of devils and himself was still huge. Breaking through millions of psychic powers, the demigod god of devils and the anti-heavenly dragon's pillar, which was absolutely an imperial weapon, no one could predict how horrifying it would be. It was because now all living human beings, including the eternal heroes, had never seen what the god of devils Feng Xiu looked like when he went all out to fight. But what if we add Hao Yu? Thinking of Hao Yu, Long Haochen's empty heart suddenly felt a trace of ripples, a trace of fiery ripples. He hadn't fought with Hao Yu for a long time. Since the evolution of Hao Yu, Long Haochen had returned, and Hao Yu seemed to have entered a special state of practice. At the beginning, Long Haochen thought he was in a stable realm, but he soon found out that it was not, because Hao Yu had reached the bottleneck long before this breakthrough, and the realm was also very stable. So, what was the reason for its deep sleep? It seemed to have something to do with the seedlings of the Tree of Destruction that he acquired in the test of sealed divine throne of eternity and creation. It was also destruction. Was it true that the power of the Tree of Destruction had not been fully absorbed by Hao Yu? If it was fully absorbed, how much would the strength of Hao Yu reach by now? Hao Yu was the biggest card of Long Haochen, even the god of devils feared it. When Hao Yu and Long Haochen joined hands, Long Haochen believed that he must have the strength to fight hard with the god of devils. Time went by, and in less than half an hour, in the distance, the light of the stars and the moon next to the anti-heavenly dragon's pillar rose at the same time. On the other hand, the aura of terror of the anti-heavenly dragon's pillar surged violently. Good. Very good. A full quarter of an hour passed, when the voice of Feng Xiu sounded again. Everyone had lost the previous insipid, and there was only endless cold. That chill seemed to warm up outside Yulongguan. The pressure on the anti-heavenly dragon's pillar soared instantly, along with the huge black dragon with a length of 1 kilometer being covered with a layer of black and golden brilliance. One after another, several figures flashed from the dark golden light and rushed straight to the direction of Yulongguan. They were huge black dragons, and they all had red eyes. On the back of each black dragon sat 2 strong men. One was a moon devil with long purple hair, while the other was a star devil in an orange magic robe. This was the perfect combination of the anti-heavenly dragon, moon devil, and star devil. And there were as many as 80 groups of them coming out. There was no doubt that all the anti-heavenly dragons were the 9th level strong dragons, and most of these moon devils and star devils were also 9th level strong devils. There was no doubt that this was the strongest power of the Devil's clan. After 80 anti-heavenly dragons flew out, they lined up in the air. A layer of black and golden luster shrouded down from the anti-heavenly dragon's pillar in the rear, covering them all. All of a sudden, the bodies of all the anti-heavenly dragons doubled in the light of the dark golden light. The largest body length had exceeded 200 meters, and although the increase of moon devils and star devils on their backs was relatively small, their momentum had also greatly increased. Standing on the back of the first 4 largest anti-heavenly dragons were the 4 heavenly kings of the Moon Devil's clan and the Star Devil's clan. All were domain-level strong devils. On both sides of the top strength of more than 200 devils, more than 1,000 8th-level devils had also appeared one after another, and their bodies were also covered with black and golden lusters. Under the increase of the anti-heavenly dragon's pillar, the aura was already very close to the 9th-level strong devils. Very well, Long Haochen. There was a strong anger in the cold voice of the god of devils. You succeeded in infuriating me. And you did give me a big surprise. The god of devils Feng Xiu said, very well, several times because he was not calm at all, and the news just got him out of order. Feng Xiu never thought that Sami Jina and Marbus would be defeated, and really as Long Haochen said, the defeat was so miserable. His millions of elite troops were routed in the process of attacking the 2 fortresses. Since when did human beings have such a strong power? Whether it was the magic trap or the gate of hell, it had never been seen before. But it also played a devastating role in this decisive battle. After getting the accurate information, Feng Xiu wanted to whip Sami Jina and tear up Marbus and Waldifer into 10,000 pieces. Their failure completely destroyed the original plan of the god of devils, especially when he wanted to threaten Long Haochen with the whole human being's life. The stability of the rear of the Temple Union and 2 great victories were bound to strengthen the belief in these human life and death battles before them. It would also greatly increase the difficulty of the Devil's clan to conquer human beings. Long Haochen smiled calmly and said, I hope you are not too happy. If you become the first and the last god of devils in the history of the Devil's clan, you will leave a great deal of color in the history of the whole continent. After listening to Long Haochen's words, the god of devils suddenly smiled, and it was not the kind of laughter with hatred or anger, but a smile full of strong self-confidence and disdain. Long Haochen, do you really think that you and your Temple Federation have won? Yes, I admit, you have caused me a lot of trouble. However, this only added a little trouble to the land. The Southeast Fortress and Wan Shouguan were both failures, but it doesn't matter. I will personally break through your Yulongguan and visit the Temple Federation. You will soon learn that all schemes are useless in the face of absolute power. At this point, the voice of the god of devils suddenly became colder and colder. Kill all of them. Don't leave a single one behind. More than 1,000 powerful devils all started in an instant. In addition to the god of devils and the 19 devil gods he brought, more than 1,200 top devils rushed to the head of Yulongguan at an astonishing speed. The magical brilliance that bloomed on them instantly lit up the sky and Yulongguan. For the first time in the history of the Holy Demon Land, more than 200 9th-level strong devils and more than 1,000 8th-level strong devils attacked a city fortress at the same time. Even when the devils first came to the land more than 6,000 years ago, they never set off such a momentum, when their main force was complete 72 pillared devil gods. The various races that had been infected and transformed into devils were not nearly as strong as they were now. At this time, the 6 bright lights lit up in the air at the same time, first started by the sealed divine throne of eternity and creation, then all the 6 sealed divine thrones turned into 6 streams of light in mid-air, shrouded in their masters, and at the same time, all the strong men on the head of Yulongguan rose into the air. The time for a fight to the death had finally come, and the god of devils was right. No matter how fiercely the Southeast Fortress and Wan Shouguan fought, this was the place of the final battle, and it was also the place that would determine the ultimate winner of this holy war between the human race and the Devil's clan. Launch! The clear voice of Long Haochen resounded through the sky over Yulongguan. At the same time, about 200 rays of light lit up on the walls and the top of the city tower. The terrifying psychic fluctuation immediately made the whole Yulongguan tremble slightly. Originally, the pressure brought about by the overall charge of the top players of more than 1,000 devils actually fluctuated violently. If the human body was used to describe this pressure, then, in this huge body, more than 200 places felt sharp tingling sensation at the same time. Boom, more than 200 roars sounded at the same time, and more than 200 beams of different colors were instantly ejected from the walls and city heads of Yulongguan. The sound and psychic fluctuations that broke out at that moment were so terrifying that Yulongguan emitted a layer of smoke in the violent shock, and cracks appeared in many places on the thick city walls. Long Haochen's first card at Yulongguan was unveiled. Why was it that Mo Dao cannons that the Temple Federation had always relied on for defense did not exert its power in the intense battle at the southeast fortress and Wan Shoguan? It was because all the Mo Dao cannons of the entire Temple Federation were concentrated at Yulongguan. As early as when Long Haochen led an army of sharp knives into the 6 northern provinces of the Devil's Clan, his plan began to be carried out. The Temple Federation mobilized almost all the storage equipment above the legendary level to transport the Mo Dao cannons, installed and debugged them at Yulongguan. In fact, the biggest threat for the Devil's Clan was still awaiting inside. If the God of Devils could get the news earlier that there were no Mo Dao cannons in the southeast fortress and Wan Shoguan, then he would be able to judge the whereabouts of the Mo Dao cannons. Unfortunately, a large part of the news he received was filtered by Yu Yi's organization. No matter how powerful the God of Devils was, once he became deaf and blind, his strength would be greatly reduced. To put it another way, after the great victory of the southeast fortress and Wan Shoguan, Yu Yi's organization increased its support for human beings to an unprecedented level, even at the risk of being exposed at any time. More than 200 beams of light burst at the same time, and without warning, even the God of Devils could not take effective measures at this moment. The biggest difference between a Mo Dao cannons and a wizard's magic attack was that it did not need to be casted. It relied solely on the legal array of the cannon itself and the magic crystals that provided energy. Therefore, there would be no warning before it was released. The top leaders of more than 1,000 devils were greeted by the bombardment of the Mo Dao cannons group, which was all powered by 9th level magic crystals. This video will end here.